Why is a high-quality education only exclusive to the rich? I contemplated this as I was volunteering at Cypress Elementary School in Pompano Beach, Florida. Cypress Elementary School is a school with majority Black students with very limited resources and run-down facilities. As I was reading a lesson to a third grade class at Cypress Elementary School, I was teaching them about the civil rights movement when a young girl arised the question, if schools were desegregated back in 1954, then why are there no white kids here? It's unfortunate that a young 9-year-old girl is aware of the segregation happening in American public schools today. In 1954, the Supreme Court decision made by Brown versus Board of Education ruled that racial segregation in public schools in the United States as unconstitutional. Despite the efforts made to end racial segregation in public schools, American public schools remain largely separate and unequal. Students of all social classes and races should be given equal opportunities and equal resources to succeed. School districts should properly adjust school funding to ensure that all students are given the high-quality education that they deserve. School districts in America should focus on integrating schools rather than segregating them. To clarify the meaning of integration, Merriam-Webster gives a definition: to end the segregation of and to bring into equal membership into society. Personally, I have experienced the modern-day segregation happening in American public schools today. Pursuing a degree in education, I have become educated on the topics of school integration as well as school segregation, as I have done my research. As a nation, if we support the idea that education is a great equalizer, then education should be just that, justifiable and equal. You should fight against school segregation. At the end of my speech, my audience should sign the petition #Strike 301 and 302 by the National Coalition on School Diversity to promote school integration. All children deserve to have a high-quality education because they are the minds of the future. School segregation is a major issue affecting the quality of education in America. To begin with, the ignored federal desegregation orders by the federal courts have caused school segregation. To show proof, according to a 2014 online article focused on school integration says, in more than 300 districts, federal desegregation orders remain active. The numerous active federal desegregation orders show the lack of legal efforts towards solving school segregation. These active desegregation orders that need to be solved effective immediately. Within the same article, 83-year-old Frederick Gray, civil rights attorney in Alabama, expresses his frustration by the unwillingness of the courts to solve school segregation, as he says, I thought at some point they begin to do something, but that has never happened. Gray has remained dedicated towards his proposition of desegregating schools in the state of Alabama, but even his efforts of high legal power have not been taken into consideration by the federal courts. Another prime example of poor legal action towards desegregating schools is shown in sections 301 and 302, as both exemplify the use of improper legislative language and opposes school integration. To further explain, sections 301 and 302 explicitly state, no funds appropriated in this act should be used for the transportation to overcome racial imbalance in any school, as stated by a petition by National Coalition on School Diversity in 2018. The offensive and outdated language from sections 301 and 302 of the appropriation bill shows the ignorance of the federal courts to formally address school segregation. The United States Supreme Court permitted school integration in the 1970s, as stated by an online article by the New York Times published in 2012. On April 20th, 1971, the United States Supreme Court upheld the use of busing to overcome racial segregation in public schools. In the 1970s, the actions by the United States Supreme Court led to major school integration. According to the Civil Rights Project at Harvard University, the school busing policy increased school integration. By 1988, school integration reached its all-time high, with nearly 45% of Black students attending previously all-white schools. At the legal action from the United Supreme Court enabled schools to desegregate back in the 1970s, then the same legal efforts can be enacted today to promote more schools to integrate. Furthermore, school districts contribute to segregated schools because of the high property taxes in which they receive from more affluent white neighborhoods. To explain school funding, an online article published in 2019 by the Salem Press Encyclopedia clarifies by saying, state sales tax, income tax, and local property taxes make up the majority of school funding. The amount of money allowed for school funding is based primarily on the amount of taxes that the school district receives from families. The unbalanced school funding distribution forms inequity between wealthy and poor neighborhoods. Describing the racial division of income in neighborhoods, Stanford Center on Poverty and Inequality's annual State of Union report published in June 2017 says, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are more likely to experience the high poverty America, while whites and Asians are more likely to experience the low poverty America. A New York Times article published in May 2019 says, schools with mostly colored students receive $23 billion less in funding than those schools with predominantly white students in the United States in 2016. School districts should properly adjust school funding to ensure that all students are given equal resources and opportunities to succeed. Black and Hispanic students attending low-income schools suffer from less adequate resources and less qualified teachers, while predominantly white schools have more school funding, so they have better resources and better teachers. Teachers that work in low-income schools do not have access towards the necessary resources to provide their students with a quality education. To add further information, an online report published in February 2016 by the Education Reform Group New York Appleseed says 42% of teachers in schools with primarily Black and Hispanic kids have master's degrees and extra trainings, compared with 57% of schools with larger populations of white students. This information proves that statistics which say that schools with more white students have more teachers with better trainings and more master's degrees. You should fight against school segregation by signing the petition #Strike301 and 302 by the National Coalition on School Diversity to promote school integration. Integrated schools will promote racial diversity, better student academic achievement, and will exhibit positive long-term life outcomes for the students. Based on a research study published in 2016 by an American Educational Research Association, schools that are racially diverse have positive impacts on academic achievement for students of all races. Students of all races that are enrolled in integrated schools will benefit academically. To additionally prove, according to an online article published in 2004 by the Harvard Education Press, students that attend integrated schools are less likely to drop out of high school. In addition to better academic achievement, integrated schools will also teach students long-term life skills, which will benefit them as they enter the real world as adults. Based on a research study published in 2006 by the Journal of Higher Education, schools that are racially diverse lead to a better understanding of their perspectives, as well as improvements in critical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills. Children that attend racially diverse schools are more likely to live and work in desegregated environments later on in life, as reported by a research analysis published in 2010 by the Review of Educational Research. An example of successful integrated schools is in San Antonio, Texas, as cited by an online article focused on education equity, published in 2018, San Antonio has recently opened specialized schools such as Steele Montessori Academy, Advanced Learning Academy, and Mark Twain Dual Language Academy. These special programs allow low-income families to offer their kids a high-quality education. The article also claims that San Antonio is the most economically segregated in the country. These high-quality education programs will attract families from all economic backgrounds, and they will provide the transportation necessary to attract students from different parts of the city to attend. A parent of a student attending the Mark Twain program says, "It's very important to me that my children go to school with a racially diverse group of students, because that's real life," as cited by the same article. Mentioned in the same article, with only a short time span, San Antonio School District is noticing significant improvement in student performance. To conclude, I strongly agree in encouraging school districts to desegregate their schools because all students deserve an equal chance in education. All children, no matter where they live or the color of their skin, should be granted a high-quality education, and integrated schools will fix this disparity. By signing the petition #Strike301 and 302 by the National Coalition on School Diversity, it will enable federal funding to be used for school transportation and other purposes to further school integration. There are many benefits related to integrated schools and the promotion of encouraging school districts to desegregate their schools will allow children of all social classes, races, and ethnic groups the opportunity to academically succeed in life. Thank you.